Hello and welcome to a Remnant 2 build video. Today I'm going to be showing you guys my critical bleed build, and just like the name kind of suggests, it's all about doing critical hits and inflicting bleed. It's pretty fun, it's got some good pros, it's got some cons to it, just like pretty much anything I'm going to do. But like always, I'm playing on Nightmare right now just because it gives me the most flexibility and fun when doing my builds and stuff, while still having to pay attention and actually try, a little bit of a challenge, but not entirely miserable. And like always, as I go over some of the loadout and stuff, just given how Remnant 2 is, there may be some pieces of it that you don't have. And if that's the case, that's okay. Just kind of swap out and fill it in with whatever you have that's going to kind of do the same job that we want. Though I will say this build is a little more picky in the things that we have, so you may want all of the pieces in order to make it work the same way. Now, that also being said, it's also very likely that you might have something I don't have and will actually work better than what I've got going on. Absolutely use it, make the build your own, and, work it. So, starting right off, the first thing we're going to go over is the amulet. It's the abrasive whetstone, and when we attack a bleeding enemy, our crit chance is increased by 15% and crit damage is increased by 30%. So right away you can see, what the build is kind of about. We want to get bleeding on enemies so that we have a better crit chance and even more crit damage. I bought the thing from Reggie. I'm not sure what the trigger was. I don't know if he just randomly has it sometimes. I was playing some games with my dad, happened to talk to him, and there it was. He had it. So check in occasionally with your guys. Sometimes they have cool stuff. The first ring I have equipped is a Burden of the Gambler. This is going to disable our weak spots, but it increases our crit chance by 10%, and then increases our crit damage by 20%. I like it because, again, it's increasing our crit chance, increasing our crit damage. That downside where you don't get the weak spots anymore, it can be pretty oppressive in a way. And honestly, I don't know if this is necessarily the optimal choice, because when you do lose out on the weak spot hits, you do lose out on a chunk of damage, especially if you can get both a weak spot shot and a critical hit. Those numbers can stack up really high. But this is the way I wanted to go, because I just wanted to ignore weak spots and just shoot guys. Just shoot them. Nice and simple. Get critical hits. Get bigger critical hit numbers. So do what you want with that. If you don't want to lean too hard into that, swap it out for something else. Then we have the probability cord. This is going to increase your crit damage by 30%. So again, we're doing lots of critical hits. We want bigger critical hit damage. So pretty straightforward. Third ring, we have Braided Thorns. So after we kill an enemy, it's going to give us 15% increased critical chance for 10 seconds. So it's pretty nice, especially as we start going through a dungeon or clearing the zones. Whenever I go into a boss fight, I do typically swap it out, because it's not often that I'm really getting a lot of use out of it. So I typically find it's better to trade this out for a defensive ring of some kind, whether it's like the Ring of Crisis or something, to just keep me alive. And the last ring, this one I kind of swap around a bit. It's Targeting Jewel, increases the range on all our firearms by 4 meters, and then reduces the spread by 15%. So it helps us to get targets from further away, and with some of our gun stuff, it's got a little bit of a spread. So really, we have a pretty tight shot on all of our guns. I like it, just feels kind of nice, but not necessary to the build. Now for the armor, I just kind of chose things for fashion. It's not because they have some special value or anything like that. I just chose it because I kind of digged how the guy was looking. It had the feel of sort of an army kind of guy. It was a beret and nonsense, right? So, but again, I'm still using the Void Heart. It's it's just been doing me pretty well. It's not necessarily the best choice or anything, but all the different runes I have on there are all about increasing critical chance, increased critical damage, increasing range damage. So they're all about enhancing our ranged critical hit damage and just damage. Now for the weapons. A long gun, there are 2 different ones I swap between, but I'll show you the first one that I'm going to be using, but there is another choice that is pretty natural for the whole setup. I'm using the Bonesaw. This bad boy shoots a lot of bullets, has a big magazine, and with some of our setup with the archetype, we're probably not going to be reloading it manually very much, so it works out pretty well for us. It's also got that 10% critical hit chance, so we got a pretty natural 20% right off the bat, and then start adding in all our other effects. Works really well. The mod I'm using is Corrosive Rounds, because it applies acid, dealing some damage over time, reducing their armor, and it gives us another 15% crit chance, so we're getting a lot more critical hits with it. In addition, whenever you activate the Corrosive Rounds, it automatically reloads your gun, so with this thing having such a large magazine, being able to activate that and immediately have the gun loaded and ready to go is nice. The mutator I'm using is Twisting Wounds, so it's going to increase our range damage by 20% to bleeding targets. So again, it's important to get bleeding on our enemies because we deal more damage we also deal more critical hit damage with a higher critical hit chance. So the thing with it, though, you want to get it to level 10 so that anytime we get a ranged weak spot or a critical hit with a mutator, that automatically applies the bleeding. So we got a high base critical hit chance, and with this mutator on it, our gun is going to apply bleeding to it, even though it doesn't have that baseline. And then once we got that bleeding, that's damage over time, that's increased crit chance, increased damage, increased critical hit damage. It all works together, right? The other gun you can use, and is a natural choice for the whole setup, is Merciless. It's a gun that you get from the Ravager. You got to defeat him without actually healing the doe. At least that's what I did when I got it. The thing will innately do bleed, so as you start shooting the gun, the reticle is going to kind of close up, and then after you've been firing long enough, it's going to inflict bleeding on your enemy. So it's naturally going to start feeding into our whole setup. And then if you want to double down on the whole thing, you could put that mutator into it so that it's also applying another stack of bleed. So you can get multiple stacks of bleeding on your enemy just by using this one gun. It is a pretty solid choice. I do like it. It's pretty fun, but I've just been really enjoying the other one. So that's kind of the one I wanted to use. Plus, with the Bonesaw, I get to use the corrosive rounds modifier. So I get the extra crit chance. Another, different type of damage over time on them as well. It's pretty nice. I enjoy it anyways. But you could absolutely use this. If you don't have the mutator, you could totally use this gun to get the bleeding. There's also the handler archetype you could use as well. After that, melee weapon, doesn't matter. I just have the thing on just because. And then my my small gun, I'm using the Tech 22. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with it. I've just been enjoying using it. There's no particular reason that I'm using it. It shoots lots of bullets. It has an okay crit hit chance. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I did put momentum into it, so when it does get a critical hit, it's going to increase a critical chance and critical damage by 1.5% for 3 seconds, stacking up to 10 times. So with it shooting a lot of bullets, it kind of stacks up kind of quick. Even though the numbers are kind of small, it adds up a little bit, right? Last but not least, we have our archetypes. Well, not last. We also still have our traits. But the archetypes. We've got Gunslinger. I've been enjoying this one quite a bit. It's nice when I get to use the Gunslinger skill, automatically reloads my guns. So with the Bonesaw having such a large magazine, just automatically loading them up is great. The ammo stuff is really helpful. Overall, this thing has just been doing me pretty well. Using the relic at the start of a fight can get us some increased range damage as well, so it helps add in with those critical hits. Overall, doing me well. And then I am using the Hunter as my secondary, just because we're going to be using that skill. It helps us with critical chance and all those kinds of things as well. The Hunter's Mark skill is really nice because it's going to give us that increased range damage. It's going to also increase our crit chance against the marked enemies, so that we should be getting them constantly when this thing is up. Alternatively, you could run the run the handler archetype. I haven't leveled it up very far, so if you have this one, this is a good way to get the bleeding on the enemies because your dog is going to apply bleeding. The bad thing is sometimes he just doesn't seem to react very well with certain enemies, and especially if they're flying. So, mix and match. Use what kind of works best for you. And then as for the traits, I kind of did my typical thing where I put a bunch of points into some defensive things like Fortify, Bark Skin, Vigor, Shade Skin as well down here. So I put a bunch of points into all those defensive things to try and keep me alive a little bit. We're not about tanking hits, but if I can at least take one hit so I don't immediately go down, that's really nice. But after that, a big piece I wanted was handling, so that the weapon spread and recoil is real nice, especially with Bonesaw being the way it is. It's nice to have that good control over it. And in addition to that, just having long shot from the Hunter is nice as well, because it allows us to really get guys from a farther distance. I also put a couple points in endurance, as well as fitness, footwork, and recovery. That way I have a little bit more of my stamina, and the stamina recovers a little bit faster, so we can kind of keep interchanging movements and stuff. And then the footwork is pretty nice too, as we are able to kind of aim down sights and shoot a little bit faster, or move a little bit faster while we're shooting. It's just kind of nice. And then fitness, having a better evade distance, is just also kind of nice. There's been a few times where I evade one attack and then I can completely ignore the second attack because I have moved farther enough away. That's pretty much it. We're going to get into the dungeon. We're in the Great Sewers. I hate this dungeon, actually. It was one of the first ones I did when I played the game. Everything about it, I don't like it. The map is kind of cool. I don't like the enemies, though. I don't like the boss. I don't like it. So hopefully this is going to be pretty cathartic as I mow down the things that I don't like. So let's go ahead and do it. And I think what I'm going to try and do, we're going to try and alternate some of the uses of like our skill. So we'll use that hunter thing so that we have some good views on the enemies, getting this extra critical hit chance. There we go, just like that. And as we get low on ammo, we will use our Gunslinger skill to reload. And as the hunter's mark starts to fade off, we will swap into using corrosive rounds as we go into big fights. And then ideally, we can alternate between the two different skills so that we are constantly getting increased crit chance and more damage. So let's go ahead and get her down so that she can't get us. Shoot some of them down. Now, a nice thing is too, right? With this build, it's kind of simple in a way, right? Because a lot of the other ones, some of the things I like to do are very, like, skill and action intensive. You know, use this mod here, activate this one, then shoot them, you know, swap in for melee, this and that, this and that. This one's, it's straightforward, dude. Like, you just shoot guys. You shoot them. You don't even have to aim at weak spots, really. Like, just put bullets on target. Like, that's it. Just like that. And you can see it's got solid damage. Like, we're just gunning them down. Quick little tight controlled bursts from the gun do well. The increased handling keeps us, like, on target pretty well. That's a big dude. Dodging back now. The extra range helped us out. As we're getting low, go ahead and activate Gunslinger now. My guy's all stuck in recovery. Get rid of him. We're going to roll now. I think I'm getting messed up on some of the ledges. That was pretty unfortunate. So we'll gun him down here. There's a dude on my right somewhere. There he is. Mess him up. Get away from that ranged throw. Bring him down. Shoot that down. There you go. Alright, from there, just keep strafing to the side. We just avoid the throwing weapon there. And now we'll activate this to go ahead and heal since we're in a safe spot. It also reloads our gun. So again, like I said, we should not really be having to manually reload our gun. But yeah, you could kind of see the damage there was fine. Like, we got stuck there mostly because there was some kind of jank in the movement. And some of the ledge, our guy was just, he did not want to respond to what we needed to do. But you could see, like, we did a good amount of damage. And we didn't even use the corrosive rounds at all. So, that's it. That's pretty much the strength of it. Bring him down. Another nice thing with the build is there's a lot of enemies, right? Where I don't know where their weak spot is actually at. So, even though we're sacrificing our ability to do weak spot shots, you get the critical hits on enemies that, like, don't seem to have one. So, it works out pretty nicely there. But there are definitely some guys that you still have to aim for their weak points because they don't seem to take much damage otherwise or get critical shots on them at all. So you got to make sure you get those weak spots, like the big bloated monster things in Nerud. Ooh, that's the biggest, clearest look I've gotten at this dude before. Interesting. And we just didn't stop shooting him. Just don't stop shooting, and he goes down. And here in a moment, we'll use our Gunslinger ability to shoot down some guys, and we're solid. And look at that, we're also very solid on ammo. Like, that's something with the setup on archetypes and whatnot. I've had zero issues with ammo. You know, sometimes I run the handler one when I'm trying different things, and immediately I just start feeling the ammo problems, and like right away. There we go. One thing I haven't really tried, and I did mean to do it before this, but I kind of just wanted to make the build and show you what I'm doing right now. But I haven't really messed with some, like, slower fire guns, like, say, like, some kind of sniper rifle, like a true, like, long rifle, lever action, something like that. And I would like to try one of those and see how it feels having, like, the kind of slower shots with critical hits, because you get bigger numbers there, but, you know, you're shooting slower as well. So is it really worth it at that point? I don't know. Like, maybe somebody, you know, if you guys have tried that, let me know how it worked for you. Or, you know, there's probably some kind of build video out there already where somebody does that, and that's the best way to do it. But whatever. We're going to go ahead and move into here and clear out a bunch of these fairy guys. Hi. Oh, no. I gunned you down. Here comes some more. And then we just mow them down as they try and walk up to us. We're getting a little low, you know. Gunslinger ability is already ready to go, so we'll quick unload that and bring them down. I have messed around with using some of the other abilities for the Gunslinger, but really, this is just the one I prefer. You get damage, you know, it's a nice quick, like, oh, there's guys in my face kind of thing happening, right? And it has overall worked the best for me. Quick damage, reloads all my guns, gives it the infinite ammo. Some of the other ones, you know, they give you the better aim down sights and stuff, auto reload when you swap weapons, but I'm not swapping my weapons very much. It's just, it works best for me. I found it works best anyways. Plus the cooldown on this quick draw skill is much lower than the other abilities. And as far as the hunter ones go, again, this Hunter's Mark one seems to work the best for us. I'm not really interested in the stealth and running around thing. I do aim down sights quite a bit, but I do also kind of quick shoot in, move, adjust a lot. So I don't feel like I get a lot of the full capability of using that other hunter skill. I also wandered off the wrong way, so we're going to fix that real quick. But there's a dude right here around the corner. We're going to activate this now. You know, like I said, I'm trying to keep it, you know, I should be alternating some of the skills a little bit more and, you know, whatnot. But you can see there really hasn't been a huge need to. But, I mean, it works out there. I think the biggest thing is going to be when we do the boss fight. Use a Hunter's Mark. As it goes down, switch over to the corrosive rounds. Go from there. These guys, see, you're still not getting critical hits on them. I still haven't entirely figured out where the spot is for them. So maybe somebody knows. If you guys can let me know in the comments, like, I should just look it up. But I've got this weird thing about looking everything up. I'm trying to avoid it as much as possible and just, like, figure it out for myself. But I don't really mind it when, you know, people kind of pop up in the comments and are like, hey, check this out. Because it feels like I'm engaging with people, right? And it's like I'm talking and learning about things with other people, as opposed to just looking the thing up online. It kind of feels disconnected that way. All right, got some enemies up here. We're low on ammo, so once again, using the quick draw, pow, one dude down. We've got it reloaded, and we just start shooting them down like that. The bleed will actually take care of some guys, so even though the bleed is not a huge part of the damage, when we're taking care of little guys, right, like, it's not doing a lot. It is a nice amount of damage, and it can really help to round out our damage as well, to finish off some of the enemies that do get really low, and I'm not able to actually shoot them. But for the most part, I find that when you're just going through zones and dungeons, it's not a key part of our DPS. For the most part, it does a lot of work when we're fighting bosses, because it can really get the full duration and damage. In addition, depending on their different effects, it reduces the healing, so you don't have to worry about how much they're healing, whether they've got the, like, empathy mod or regeneration, drain, anything like that. So we're going to go ahead and rest here, and interesting thing is, I don't know if with this boss, the Bloat King shoots out these little lightning ball things. I don't actually know if they can be afflicted with bleed. That is negative with this build. There are definitely enemies where you cannot inflict bleed on them. There's some bosses in Nerud, like some of the ghost elites, as well as the, like, ghost boss. You can't do bleed on them, even though one of the final world bosses, one of the, like, guardian thing, you can do bleeding on it. But there are definitely guys where it sucks because you can't actually apply it to them. So like I said, we're going to trade this one out for the Ring of Crisis. That way, when our health drops below 25%, we're just going to get a shield for 25% of our maximum health. It's worked well for me in the past. It gives us a nice little chance to pop our healing. And we're going to take a sip of coffee. And then we're going to go in. I really dislike this boss, like, a lot. The mechanics are cool of it. Like, I like the idea. The map layout and, like, kind of running around to sort of dodge some things seems really nice. And I like the idea of, like, hey, if you mess up and you fall down, you got to, like, get back up, avoiding enemies down there. But I feel like in gameplay, it just feels oppressive, man. And maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm a baby. Who knows? All right, let's go ahead. We're going to activate the corrosive rounds first and just start unloading. You can see there's some solid damage. All right, and he's spitting out the bubble. Let's see. Is it bleeding? I cannot tell. One thing I should have probably done, or could have done, is swap one of the rings to do a lightning resist thing, because this boss does do a lot of lightning damage, so you could easily build it around that instead. I could also pop one of those in items, a consumable, to increase our lightning resistance. We're going to use this now to reload. And we start shooting here. Activate this, get the extra crit chance. Listen for the sound. Now, there you go. Hear that sound effect, get ready to dodge. Now, good. Now, if he does a long charge, you know it's when he's going to do the big laser, like right now. Moving now. We're just going to keep running this way a little bit. Ideally, it should end before it gets to us. And look at that. We're just chunking him down. He's just standing there. He can't do anything about it. Our corrosive rounds is already off cooldown, so we are start throwing it down. Hunter's Mark is now down. So like I said, we're alternating the uses of our skills. Get rid of that thing so it doesn't get us. We need to use one of these now, which will reload our gun, and that's really nice. And just kind of casually strafe back and forth to try and avoid some of the projectiles. There we go. It's going back in there. We'll probably use our quick draw here in a moment. Now, there we go. He's big laser. Create as much distance as we can so that we're not going to get hit by it. Keep moving this way a little bit. And we just keep shooting him. Man, go ahead and use it now. There we go. Activate corrosive rounds again. And start shooting. Lots of critical hits. You can see just how much damage. Like I said, it's best to kind of like alternate burst fire, like tight controlled burst to maintain the heat level on this gun, because it will overheat. And when it overheats, you find that you're stuck not doing anything for a moment. That kind of sucks. I messed that one up. We've got the shield. Get ready to dodge though. Now, I messed it up. I heard the sound was going. I knew trying to heal there was a little cheeky. That was my bad. Dodge to the side. Let's go ahead and activate the Hunter Mark now. Shoot him a bit here. Activate this as well. Oops, I was not paying attention. We heal now because he's spitting it out. And there we go. And we're going to win this. Overall, pretty easy. This is a pretty ideal fight for this build, I would say. The enemy stays at range. You can just keep pegging them from a distance while casually avoiding their shots. I'm going to show you guys a different boss fight that actually has the enemy that's like on top of us to see how we do there. God dang it. Die, die, die. Avoiding the enemies. Can't hit him. All right, we're rotating for the first time. Different gun. He's down. Easy day. All right, yeah, let's move on. Let's go see if we can't find ourselves another boss and yeah, show you how it does against something who's a little bit harder. All right, so we're outside of Nightweaver's place. We're gonna go fight her, see how it goes. Plus, it's a good opportunity for me to try and get the other weapon. If you do enough damage to her heart when she's like summoning spiders and stuff, you can break it, and then you can get a different item than you would normally. So yeah, let's see how it goes. I'm honestly not sure whether or not you can bleed her or not, or even whether you can do corrosive. So we're gonna find out. Yeah. All right, let's go activate this first. Dodge those things around. Dodge forward. We're ready. Dodging around there, and just start unloading again. She's spiteful, huh? I don't remember what that does. I think if you use your healing thing, she gets mad and does more damage. A little early on the roll, but we weren't punished, so that's okay. Dodging around that. Keeping out of there. All right, get ready. We're going to use this now to go ahead and reload. Yeah, I had a feeling she was about to start summoning. So lots of damage. Get rid of them. Not nearly enough. We're taking her down pretty quickly, so I don't know that I'm going to get a good opportunity to break her heart thing. Just casually move around those things. We're going to activate this now. Dodge over to the side. Again, get some shots in. Get rid of them. It'd be a lot easier if I had a person with me. Somebody can clear the spiders while I shoot freaking heart. Or they shoot the heart and I shoot the spiders. Dodge to the side. Here comes the next wave. Over to the side again. Move forward. Activate this. It reloads our gun. Got her staggered. She's going to do some of that. And side. Summon more spiders. There it is. Keep on loading. Hold it down. Hold it down. No, I don't think that did it. Wait. We're going to activate this now. It's going to reload the gun as well. Finish off the last spider. Dodge forward. And then back. And start shooting. There we go. Easy enough. Alright. So let's do phase 2. Yeah, our heart's definitely still intact. I'm pretty sure there would have been a bigger, like, thing. Alright, where's she at? Behind me? Over here? To the right. I messed it up. There's a really big delay on the second attack. I always mess it up, or I mess it up a lot of the time. Move forward. Get ready for the next one. We're going to use this time to heal now. We'll reload our gun. Get us buffed up. We can do increased range damage now, too. And then we start unloading some more. Move. Too early. Sucks. Go ahead and use this now. Probably shouldn't have, actually. My ammo is fine, so a couple shots in between the rolls. Get that bleeding effect. That's nice. We're going to activate it now. Get ourselves topped off. Sounded like she went this way. Summoning spider. Nope. There she is. Is she going to go now? There we go. Doing well. Move forward. Back. Okay. Ow! Whew. Sometimes, man, I mess that up and she gets me. There we go. Where's she at? Where's she at? Activate this now so we can see her. Oh, she almost got me, dude. She almost got me. I thought she was going to be off, like, up there summoning spiders or something. We're going to shoot that guy as we come up. That one, too. One more. I love that ability. Just to see enemies through the wall. It really lets you just, like, gun them down. Play it super well. Dodging forward. Ah, that still clipped me. We're going to try and use this now. Be careful. Ooh. Here we go. We're going to get out of this room. All the walls really close to us. Makes a bad spot for her to try and hit us. Okay. There we go. For some reason, I couldn't pick up that long ammo with the small gun one right there. Dodge. Ooh. Tiny bit too slow on that dodge. Tiny bit too slow. All right. There we go. Break them. Dodge forward. Whew. I almost messed it up again. Dodging. Oh, I don't like being in here with the tight little hallway thing. We're going to go ahead and get out while we can. She tried to grab us, I think. Or wanted to. There she is. Dodge. One more. Dodge. Good. To the side. Excellent. She's going to try and grab me here. Yep. There it is. And down she goes. Alright. Not bad. Good. You can see, like, just good, constant DPS, you know? Like, once you get the bleed effect on them, it's just constantly ticking. The extra critical hits allows you to just constantly, consistently pump out some numbers and stuff. And now for that boss fight too, right, I put on the Ring of Deflection. That is the wrong ring. I used the wrong one. I actually wanted to have on the Ring of Crisis somewhere, wherever it went. Whatever. I meant to have the Ring of Crisis on and Amber Moonstone, because that's like a double, like, just in case I get really low, like, don't die. So maybe if I'd had the right one on, I would have done it on the first attempt. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. That's the setup, right? Lots of constant shooting with critical hits and some bleeding. You know, depending on the scenario where you're in, right? You can see I swapped out rings to be a little more defensive so I didn't die right away. But these are the three main pieces as far as like my rings and amulets go, getting me the extra crit chance and damage, lots of crit damage. And then utilizing, you know, the mods on this to give me more crit chance as well as some of the extra like status effects on the enemies as well. You could potentially run the Assassin's Blade up here because it does do bleeding. But I hardly ever use the thing, so, like, there was no point. Like, I could have had it on there just in case, but I hardly ever swing the sword on this gun, or this setup, so, yeah. And then, same thing with that thing, like, just use whatever freaking small gun, handgun works best for you. But that's it. That's the build. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Feel free, you know, try it out for yourself, see what you think. If you've done anything like it, let me know how that's gone for you, or like what you would tweak. I always like seeing like what people are saying, like, hey, try these things. Always cool. Really appreciate it. Yeah, so take care, everybody.